Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Creative Meltdown Podcast. My name is Kent Wikström, and in this episode I'm joined with Joakim Knesen-Avoya and Carl Nilsson. Unfortunately, Joakim Granström couldn't be with us. The reason why I'm talking English is because this whole episode is going to be in English. We had our first guest on the show in Len Kabasinski, independent filmmaker. And this was sort of a dream coming true for us, since he's one of our absolute favorite movie directors of all time. We recommend you to take a look at all his films and support him on Patreon. He's got a Patreon page, Killerwolf Films. Look him up there. We can't thank him enough for taking the time to talk to us and make this interview happen. We had a blast recording this, and hopefully you will enjoy it too. Before the interview begins, I would just like to say some words. We had some technical difficulties where the sound were either missing or you couldn't hear what people were saying. So we edited them out, and there's going to be an audio bumper quite early in the interview. And after that, Len talks about MMA legend Dan Severn, who acted in one of his films. I'm going to stop talking now, so enjoy.
I was just going to introduce myself for those that are listening that don't know me. I'm micro indie filmmaker Len Kabasinski.
Yes, you have some new movie that came out not too long ago, one upcoming. Could you talk a little about that?
Yeah, sure. What I got, we had just finished Hellcats Revenge, but the last one that just came out late last year would have been Angel of Reckoning. That's on video on demand now, and it's also on DVD. So that would have been the last one released, but coming up here, we actually just went off to the distributor for Hellcats Revenge, which is kind of, it's not going to have the horror type elements. It's not god vampires or werewolves or anything like that in it. Hellcats Revenge is kind of just a straight kind of comic bookish action film regarding a female gang that's avenging the death of their leader, and they go up against a gang of male criminals. So that it doesn't have a release date yet, but it is at the distributor. Usually the turnaround for that's about 6 months or so. So I'm hoping they'll put Hellcats Revenge out to video on demand and DVD, hopefully by like November-ish timeframe. So we had shot Hellcats Revenge last July, last early August, and it was about a 10-day shoot, which is kind of what I stick to. Kind of my heroes in life are people like Roger Corman or Jim Wynorski or Fred Olin Ray, directors and producers like that. And they usually have a shooting schedule that is like a 10-day-ish shooting schedule for their lower budgeted productions. And I try to kind of emulate that a little bit, although on a very, very micro indie budget level. So I've been good at sticking to that for the last several films. I mean, I can't remember a film where I didn't have like a total of like a 10 to 14 day production schedule, shooting schedule. So,
wow, this must be intense days shooting in that short period of time. How is that?
Yeah, shooting on average, it really depends on what location we're in. A lot of times if obviously we're shooting outside and it's daylight, we only have whatever, eight hours maybe to get, the proper lighting before it's going to change. Now, did I know that on Swamp Zombies? Fuck no. But I mean, you learn as you go along that how to do things better. And for example, Angel of Reckoning and Hellcats Revenge, we had a mix of softbox lighting, which obviously you need power for, and then we also had battery or outlet operated LED lights, which made shooting so much easier. So I don't think I'll ever shoot without LED based lights again. So, because they could be battery operated or power operated through an outlet. So that made it easier. But yeah, it really depends on what location we're in. I know if I'm going to be indoors at like for example, Angel of Reckoning shot at a nightclub on a day that they weren't operating. So I really had free reign to do what I wanted. But if there was a day where they were, say, going to open at 7 o'clock I could get there at 9 in the morning, set up my equipment and film, and I'd be out of there at like 5. So it really depends on what setting I'm in. Hellcats Revenge, we had 2 locations that served as the male criminal clubhouse for their motorcycle gang, and it was an operating bar that was going to start operation at I think 6 or 7 o'clock. So we got in at 9 a.m. and we finished about 5. So it really depends on the location we're in.
Yeah. Do you have any stories like when things have gone wrong or you had to solve something while filming this?
I've been doing this 14 years. I could tell you lots of stories, man. I'll stick with current stuff, but God, there's so many. I've only been almost arrested once. That was on. Normally, I got the support of tons of people. I'm from Erie, so most of the time I shoot here, so I got a lot of resources here. Anyways, the story is I was about maybe 15 miles outside of Erie, and I'm shooting Apocalypse Female Warriors. So this is back in like 2008. And that film just got released again. I re-released it with a Red Letter Media audio commentary track and all that stuff. So it's under the title Apocalypse Female Warriors now. Anyways, while I'm shooting that, we're on like a private access road. So there's no posted speed limit. There are cars that come through there once in a while, but it's a pretty low, very low traffic road. Anyways, people like to use that road and zoom through there because they can go 80 miles an hour and they're not going to get busted because there's no speed limit. So we were shooting there, and we had 2 cameras, a boom mic, lights, we had guns, there was airsoft rifles, they're all over the place. So these people were zooming through, and they had presumed, I guess, that we were using real guns, which is fucking ridiculous. I'm not gonna have 20 real guns out in public just running around with my cast and crew. And really, I think, not to use bad language, this is just kind of how I talk, but they were kind of assholes that just wanted to zoom through their road, and I was interrupting their day. I slowed them down for 3 minutes as they passed us, so they called the cops on us. And luckily, it was just at the end, so I had just wrapped production on that scene, and I had told my cast and crew, get out of here and stuff like that, and I'll stay behind. So luckily, they were all able to go, because if there was any trouble, I obviously wouldn't want my cast and crew in anything like that. I mean, I'd take the heat for that stuff anyway. So the cops came, and there was literally 4 or 5 cop cars that came. Now, granted, it's the middle of nowhere, so they're probably not getting much action out there. So they're barreling down on Filmmaker. I'm in full costume as Largent, the character I was in the film. So I've got biker chaps on and a bandana and stuff like that. I look like a criminal, so with my long hair and stuff. So they approached me and talked to me, and the sun's blaring in my face the whole time. So I'm squinting at them as they're talking to me, and the one guy thought I was, the one officer, the chief officer, thought it was a joke and stuff. And I thought, well, no, I can't see. I'm looking right into the sun. So, but nothing happened. They let me go. And I have some state trooper friends and stuff like that. So I wasn't really afraid I was going to go to jail or anything. But it was just a moment where, thank God, I got all my shots in and was able to leave. But I didn't get in any trouble. But that was a case where, there could have been some issues. And that's really the only big one. But for example, in terms of like script writing or, going into filming a scene for Angel of Reckoning, which wasn't too long ago, I had written the script and there was an ending, and I'll just tell you the ending because it's not on, I'm not ruining it for anybody. It wasn't filmed. So the original ending was on a parking ramp, on the top level of a parking ramp, and the villain goes into the car, and our hero shoots out the car and makes it lock, and then basically flames her in the car, basically, and she burns up in the car. Anyways, the parking authority gets back to me. Well, I take that back. They don't get back to me. I had set everything up. They were totally cool with it, and then I didn't hear from them. And it's like a week before we shoot. So I've got Donna Hamlin about to come in from Vegas, who played the main villain in the film. Everybody's set up. Debbie Dutch is coming in from Hollywood. We're all the gang's there. So I contact him a week ahead of time, and I said, hey, I haven't heard from you. I'm going to be at your ramp at such and such a date and such a time. And he's like, well, we have a problem now. And I'm like, what the hell? We're a week out, man. I got all these people coming in. And he's like, well, what if somebody was walking along the sidewalk looking at your production or hanging around watching? And I said, well, I don't have a problem with that as long as they're not noisy or something like that. And he's like, but what if he ran into a telephone pole or something like that near where you're filming. You probably should sign off responsibility on that. I was like, fuck no, am I signing off on that? So you're telling me some idiot that's trying to watch my production looks at some of my girls and runs into a telephone pole. No, that's kind of their fault. So I didn't want to take responsibility for that kind of stuff. So I was left without a location for the end of my movie. And I thought, I can't make this work. It's got to be a parking garage if I'm going to use this ending. So I got with my associate producer, Ruth Sprague, and said, I'm going to rewrite the ending of this movie. I know we're only less than a week away now, but I'm going to rewrite the ending. And thank God I did. It ends in a nightclub, and I'll leave it at that. But visually, the lighting and stuff at the end of the movie, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it's very Suspiria-ish lighting where we got a lot of blues and reds, things going on, and it's way more dramatic than the ending I had written. So it was just one of those things, and man, I got tons of stories on Hellcats about divine intervention at times where it was a downpour and we needed to film, and we're at a tennis court outside, and then all of a sudden it stops raining for like 90 minutes. We go film, and we get done filming, and it pours down rain again. So we were very, very fortunate on a lot of stuff. But I would say the rewrite of Angels ending at the last second and the me almost getting arrested are probably the two biggest ones. So
that's some great stories. I could imagine when the police got the call, like 20 guys with guns.
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, I'm pretty. I'm a pretty mellow dude. I'm a pretty zen kind of guy. I don't get too worked up about stuff. So even when the cops were there, I was pretty cool. I mean, I could see people saying, "Oh my God, there's all these guys bearing down on you, these cops, so you're going to shit your pants or something like that." And I'm like, no, I stayed pretty cool about it. I mean, it was scary, but I didn't really lose my cool about it. I mean, I knew I didn't do anything wrong per se. I mean, I get it, the airsoft rifles. They are, man, today, you got to be careful because these airsoft rifles look real, dude. You're spending $12 or $13 on them, and you're getting a really cool looking a gun. I think the most expensive one I had was in Angel of Reckoning. The lead character of Rachel there has a sniper rifle at the end of the movie, and it's pretty decent looking. My dad has been into guns and hunting and stuff his whole life, and he saw the sniper rifle and was like, "Oh my God, Len, this is just amazing." Really? So you got to be careful going out in public with airsoft rifles because a lot of them are cheap and a lot of them look really good these days. So. Dan Severn was in a movie called Swamp Zombies, which is my very, 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 very first thing I ever did. Usually when you try out your first thing, you're going to suck. You just got to get out there and write it and do it. And Swamp Zombies, Dan Severn came aboard. He was on set for like one day near my home in Erie. It was outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. We were at like a cabin swamp type location. And then I actually went to Michigan and shot additional footage with him at his, he's got a big MMA camp there. It is super impressive. He's got his own, it's amazing. Guys stay there. There's bunk beds. There's kitchen. I mean, there's one section that's donated because he was actually a champion pro wrestler as well. There's a pro wrestling section where guys work on cutting promos and acting and stuff, not just, the physicality of professional wrestling, but he had that section. And then he had an MMA training session. He actually had his own professional wrestling federation, which I think he still does. And this is in Michigan. So he was by a bunch of woods and stuff. And I think this is Coldwater, Michigan. Anyways, he had a bunch of woods in property outside of his house that I said, hey, I could come up and we could film a larger fight scene with you and some zombie characters. And he did. And I went up there for the day. And I tell you, what a super nice guy, though. You would never know that he would just rip your head off if he wanted to. I mean, when we were in Erie, we got done filming for the day. We went out to Pizza Hut with him. He ate his pizza with a knife and fork, actually, and that's foreign to me. I just scarf it down. But yeah, he ate pizza with a knife and fork. He was super polite. I mean, you could tell this man had like disciplined arts in his life with wrestling and martial arts and stuff. So nice to everybody. Even the waitress at Pizza Hut, it was yes ma'am, yes this. I mean, total polite gentleman. I mean, we're going to work together again, and I think it was Warriors of the Apocalypse actually. But I mean, the man is nonstop busy. I mean, he's always doing something. He trains law enforcement across the country. He's obviously doing MMA appearances and stuff like that. And in 2004, when I did Swamp Zombies, he was still competing. He was still doing mixed martial arts. I mean, he competed well into his 50s. So, yeah, really super, super nice man. I hope to work with him again in the future. I mean, we have a good, relationship. We still talk once in a while to this day. And, yeah, hopefully I get to work with him again. He was super.
That's awesome. I mean, you do different things. You're not only a director, you do producing, writing, all things, but also fight choreographer. Is that the right term? How was it to work with him in that? He knows the area pretty well. I mean.
Yeah, actually, this is a pretty funny story for people that know MMA or wrestling or martial arts. There's a kick in martial arts called a crescent kick, where you kind of take your leg and go inside out or outside in. And Dan performs it in the fight scene with one of the zombies. Dan did not know what a crescent kick was. So I taught Len, little old Len here, taught Dan Severn how to do a crescent kick. So that's my claim to fame in Dan Severn's years of martial arts and wrestling training. I taught him how to do a crescent kick. So, but with him in fight choreography, obviously he can kick and punch and stuff like that, but the crescent kick he didn't know, so I'm really happy about that, and I taught him something new.
Yeah, it's really cool. But you also worked in different movies. Can you talk about a little about the other movies where you have been? Have you been just a fight choreographer, or is it just in your own movies?
What I do in fight choreography, and this is how I started, was I had got certification for fight choreography through the Society of American Fight Directors. Now, what they do is they do film, but they also do live theater, and they'll do like theater weapons, like you would expect, like Shakespearean weapons or broadsword, that kind of stuff. But they also do unarmed combat, and so I went out and certified through them. This is probably like 1996, and I started choreographing shows at home for like live theater. Shakespearean plays, again, what you would expect for live theater to put on. So I did tons of live theater shows, and I still do those to this day. And then I got into doing my own things. And I would say this is maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I went and served as fight choreographer for 2 scenes for a movie called Zombie Killers that starred Billy Zane and Dee Wallace Stone and Misha Barton. It had a couple like name actors in it, and I went out just to do fight choreography for that film. So that was it. Oh yeah, that was filmed in the Poconos, which is like a mountainous region in eastern Pennsylvania. So it's really high up there, and we filmed, I think, in September. So it's not super hot, but it's warm still in September here. But you're in the mountains. I mean, at nighttime it was probably 28 degrees or something, which is really freaking cold. Wow. And then the sun would come out the next day and it would be 70 degrees. So it was a strange area. But yeah, Zombie Killers was the name of that picture. And the fight scene I do that the director, Harrison Smith, called me about, he's like, well, this is a kind of survivalist style fight. And I said, well, I'm going to choreograph it a certain way then, and I got to know, how athletic your actors are or aren't, because that's going to help my choreography. I'm not going to give somebody, not that this was a martial arts style fight, but I'm not going to have somebody do a jump up, reverse spinning back kick if the actor can't do something like that, And these people were doing their own stunts. So in a survivalist fight, there is no really martial arts. It was just a scrappy, drag out kind of fight where somebody's getting punched in the groin or there's hair pulling. There's all kinds of that. It's more of a mayhem style survivalist fight, not so much a martial art fight. But in my career, I've done it all. I've done slapstick type fighting. I've done obviously medieval style things with swords and things like that. I've obviously done martial art fights. I've done barroom brawls. I've done, at this point, I've been doing fight choreography for over 20 years now, and I've seen and done it all at this point. But that being said, it's like martial arts where the learning never stops. I mean, you're never going to stop learning something new. It's impossible. The learning goes on forever.
And you're a martial artist yourself. How much have you trained, and what do you train? And
I still compete in martial arts to this day. I'm not really a full-time competitor anymore. I probably compete 6 to 8 times a year. I do teach martial arts Team TKO, that's in Erie, Pennsylvania. Actually, the lead instructor, Brian Arrington, who owns the school, he's actually done several of my pictures. He's done Warriors of the Apocalypse. He's done Fist of the Vampire. He's done a lot of those pictures with me. And normally in fight scene roles where I call my martial art friends and say, hey, can you come in and make this person look good or whatever? Yeah, I still compete. I started training when I was probably 6 years old. My father's a black belt in Goshin Jitsu, so I started there. And then my parents got divorced. I took a few years off, and not more than a few. And then when I went back to training, I thought, hey, I can kick. So I wanted to do a style that had more kicking in it. So I went into Korean martial arts like Taekwondo and Tang Soo Do and started training in that. And I've been in that ever since. I'm a 3rd degree black belt currently in that. So,
wow.
So I still train and compete. I'm not a young man anymore. I'm 42 years old. But it's a lot of fun, and I train in everything, and I compete in everything from like weapons kata, empty hand kata, fighting. I mean, in Pennsylvania, they have their own rating system here called the Pennsylvania Karate Rating Association, and with that, I'm a 5-time state champion. So it's been a good few years.
Yes. I thought we can talk a little about the independent filmmaking. If you go to like when you hand in the final version of the movie, how's that like? Do you ever feel like, maybe I should have changed that, or do you always feel like this is the best it's gonna be, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody would get this about me because I've done movies that suck, like Swamp Zombies or something like that. But it's like, I really am a perfectionist, though. I mean, it's I'm never really satisfied with anything. I think anybody that's an artist doesn't want to grow complacent with anything. And I mean, as an artist too, whether you're painting or doing film or whatever it is, I mean, all you want people to do is say, hey, your new thing, you've grown from your last project, or you've gotten better at this or that. So that's the biggest compliment I could get. From something like Swamp Zombies back in the day to something like Angel of Reckoning. I mean, obviously they're not even comparable in terms of quality and how it was done. But yeah, I mean, I'm always going to go back and wish I did something different. With Hellcats, I mean, a lot of it, with Hellcats Revenge coming up, a lot of it I feel we improved upon even more. But at the same time, I would go back and say, man, I should have put a fight scene here or there. I should have did more. I should have, killed more people in it or something like that. So there's always but that being said, none of that is in Hellcats. I'm just saying that for example. There's shit tons of people that get killed and there's fights and stuff in it. So, but also with, speaking of going back and doing things in Angel of Reckoning, I'm not in it very much as an actor. I wanted to stay behind the camera, and I find myself moving more in that direction. But for Hellcats Revenge, specifically, I was not going to act in it. Somebody else was going to play the character of Snake, and who's like a criminal biker. He's like the lead villain, if you will, of the movie. And it had been a while since I did an actual lead actor or lead role. And a bunch of people I know, Red Letter Media fans, had messaged me and said, Len, when are you going to go back and do a main role in one of your films? And I said, I don't know. I'm kind of moving away from that stuff. But they had me thinking. And then actress Donna Hamblin, I was in a real shitty point in my life where I had just gotten divorced and stuff like that. So I was kind of downtrodden about personally, but I mean, I would never let that seep into, my professional, movie career. When something's scheduled, we shoot and we go forward. But going into Hellcats, Donna had said, you know what, Len, this role is perfect for you, this biker, because I'm a biker in real life. I've ridden motorcycles most of my life. But Donna Hamblin and then some of the Red Letter Media fans that wanted to see me in more of a lead role, they kind of all convinced me to take the part, and they did. They won. They convinced me to do it. So for those people wanting to see me in a bigger role, Hellcats Revenge is definitely the movie you'll want to see. I'm in the film throughout. And I play against Lisa Neld, Playboy centerfold Lisa Neld, who plays Kat, who is the lead female character in the film. So, yeah, there's always stuff I want to do differently and things, and that'll never change. I mean, if somebody gave me a $20 million budget and said, hey, go film Dead Heat 2 with Joe Piscopo or whatever, I'd be like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. And you know what? At the end of the day, though, I'd still probably want to do something different. No matter what, I would want to change something or do something. So there you have it.
I have to ask, the name Snake, is that a nod to Snake Plissken, or is that just...
I love those movies. I love Escape from New York, and I like Escape from LA too. But no, it had nothing to do with Snake Plissken at all. But good question. But actually, what it had to do with is it's really is a common name in the biker community. I mean, you get a lot of nicknames for people, and for me, is there video on this? Do you see video?
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah, we can see you.
I have a snake tattoo around my arm, so it kind of meant it's kind of was an easy call to play Snake. And in the movie, I mean, my tattoo goes around and loops around and ends right about there. But in the movie, it spirals all the way down my arm. I had a fake tattoo that extended down my arm for the movie, in which a makeup artist came in and did for me. So. So it's funny because in the movie it's half real snake and then half fake snake for my tattoo. So
I guess you can say your nickname while biking is Snake then, or
yeah. I guess it should be. My fiance was going to say that. Man, when we hang out this summer, I'm just going to call you Snake. It would be funny and cool. And I said, go for it. I said, go for it. It's so bikerish that I'm fine with it. So.
That's the best nickname ever. But speaking of Red Letter Media and playing the main role, you got to do it for them for a movie that was never made but still was, Horse Ninja. Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm an 80s kid and I love ninja movies. So I had went out there a couple years ago and did some best of the worst in a retrospective interview that was like an hour long. All this stuff is on YouTube. If you Google my name and Red Letter Media, it'll pop up. But so I went back just about a month and a half ago or so. I went out. Mike had contacted me, and I talk to these guys pretty regularly. And Mike had contacted me and said, "Hey, we've got this ninja thing we want to film. It's there's a lot of comedy and obviously everything that they do. So they thought it would be funny, and they thought their fans would enjoy it. And that's really what it's about. Those guys, Mike, Jay, Rich, Jack, they work very, very hard for their fans. I mean, they're really the work ethic in their studio really is amazing. But yeah, they called me out to do Horse Ninja, and I was obviously going to do a best of the worst. And I think that's what the fans really want to see me do with them is best of the worst. But yeah, I went out to do Horse Ninja. All my stuff was filmed in about half a day or something like that. We filmed the ending in the hotel room that they put me up in. So the very end scene is actually where I was sleeping, where I was staying while I was there. And then we went to the studio. And the thing with the Horse Ninja, especially in the choreography, a lot of people were saying, "Hey, Len, your choreography in Horse Ninja, this crappy little film that didn't happen, is better than Iron Fist." And I was like, "That's wonderful. That's what I want to hear." I want to hear, but I don't want to hear because I don't know how much comic book stuff you guys know. But Iron Fist is like my all-time favorite comic book character. But anyways, I heard the show sucked, and I bothered not watching much of it. I tried to watch a little bit, and the fight seemed kind of cardboardish at times, so it's disappointing to me. So if anybody's out there and wants to make a feature film Iron Fist, I am your man. So I will nail it. Yeah. Give Len a call if you want to do an Iron Fist movie, not the Netflix stuff, but an actual film, and I'm your man there. But yeah, Horse Ninja was a lot of fun, but doing the choreography and stuff with the mask, I couldn't see out of the fucking thing. I could not see what the hell I was doing. So a lot of times the actor I was working with that had some experience, that played the one big guy you see in it, he had some stage combat theatrical experience. So I trusted him that, if I say throw a right hook punch, I know where he's going to be at. So I'm almost doing kind of a Jedi thing where I'm trying to do moves blocking stuff where I don't exactly know where it is, but I was able to pull it off, I think, and a lot of people enjoyed it. So, and that's why I do stuff like that. It's fun for me to do, but at the same time, try running around in a mask for 2 hours that you can't freaking see out of, and have some huge guy throwing punches at your head. So, but if people enjoy it, that's why I do it. So it was a lot of fun doing Horse Ninja. And actually, I don't have the prints on me, I'd show you, but Freddie Williams had contacted me and said, Len, I want to send you some prints of mine. What do you want? So he sent me the Horse Ninja print and a couple of his other original prints he did. So really, wow. There's some great guys involved in Red Letter Media, and I can't thank them enough. The one thing I was very surprised with going out there and doing some of their things were the people that knew me already before I did stuff like that. So that was I'm kind of a mellow, humble dude. I don't think of myself as like a star or this indie legend, which I've been called before. I don't really see myself as that. I just see myself as Len, who's a dad of, my kids. I'm a normal. Actually, where I'm at now is my den. I just bought this house a couple months ago, so we're in my movie den. I think you can see Swamp Zombies up there and Skull Forest posters. And if you go around the room, it's all movie posters and stuff. And so, but yeah. So yeah, Horse Ninja, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know a lot of our listeners watch Red Letter Media, but it almost feels like now that you're a part of the crew, or you recently were on an episode of Best of the Worst, and does it feel like that view, or how do you see it?
Really, honestly, I feel like we're kind of, and I don't know if they feel this way or not, I hope they do, but we're kind of kindred spirits in terms of the material that they're doing. I mean, Mike will say everything's the worst movie he's seen, but you know what, we all love these kinds of movies, though. I mean, this is stuff we all grew up, loving, and they get submissions by, even the fans will send them things, like they've got 50 copies of Nuki on the wall. I mean, so there's Nuki pillows that's been sent to them. So Nuki is a big hit in terms of a movie that fans send them. But their place is so impressive. I mean, I could live inside their like movie VHS room. I mean, they probably have 1,000 VHS at least, and they're all like rare, hard to find B movies and things like that. And it's super, super impressive, the volume of like hard to find VHS movies they have. But when they do shows like Best of the Worst, obviously the focus is on obscure movies like that, and that's what I love. So they may say it's the worst stuff they've seen, but they like watching that stuff, and I do too. So I mean, even to this day, I mean, what I watch is not so much broadcast television, but I put on my Fire Stick, I put on Amazon Prime, and I think of what shitty micro indie movie can I watch today, and that's kind of what I do in real life too. So I really feel a connection with those guys in terms of like the material they do. Best of the Worst, and this should be said too, is Red Letter Media. Yeah, I feel kind of more a part of it the more the days go by. But I'm a fan too, though. I watch Plinkett, or I watch Review, or I watch Best of the Worst. Whether I'm on it or not, I mean, I watch those because I love elves, and I love Alien Seed and all these movies they're reviewing. This is stuff I love. So, but yeah, I do feel a connection part of the group. But I think the fans feel their fans are awesome, like me or don't like me. It's I take everything as a learning opportunity to interact with people. So good or bad, I enjoy being a part of it.
Yeah. When the Best of the Worst episode airs, we only get to see like an hour, but how much time does it take to like shoot one episode, you think?
Best of the Worst, it's pretty much all most of it's all real time, almost. Even it's usually an episode is about an hour, and then sometimes we'll discuss it for 2 or 3 hours, you know what I mean? But some of it is on the side kind of things. But yeah, I would say in general it takes a couple hours to film the Best of the Worst. Yes. There's jokes that we feel didn't work, or something like that happens, and we cut it out, and stuff like that. And I think I'm not sure how their editing system works there, but I think like Mike will cut Best of the Worst, and then next month Jay might cut it. I mean, they can all edit and do things like that. So
yeah. How is it as a filmmaker to be on the other side, to speak, to be like reviewing movies instead of making them yourself?
Yeah, and I like it because I would watch this kind of stuff anyways, like I said. But things. I mean, I made Swamp Zombies, for God's sake. I'm not really qualified to like, critique movies. Now, that being said, people are like, oh, Len, Angel of Reckoning is so much better. You're qualified to go back and critique movies like this, or this. And I said, no, that's not my personality though either. I know how fucking hard it is to make a movie. And I mean, no matter what the budget level is or whatever, you could shoot it in your backyard. And it's hard to put a film together, and it's hard to schedule everybody if you've got a larger cast or something. So I know how hard it is to make one. So I don't so much critique the films on Best of the Worst, but what I do is more like chime in and give experiences and kind of talk about things without being like critical of them. In general, that's what I try to do. And when I did the episode Ninja Movies for Best of the Worst a couple years ago, that's kind of the format I did. Is even at the end of the discussion, I tried to make everybody say like positive things, at least one positive thing about the movies they had watched. And it was different. I think it threw their fans for a loop, and some of them really liked that I did something like that, and some of them wanted to kill me. So, but that's really, that's performing arts. You're going to have people that love you and hate you. So, but yeah, that's Best of the Worst is by far my favorite. I absolutely love taking part of it.
Yeah. And on one of the episodes, I think it was the interview with you, they suggested a name, Bite of the Mummy, for
yeah.
And on your IMDb page, it says announced, rumored. Will that film happen, or is it just a rumor?
Oh, no. I can't speak for those guys, but we have had discussions about it. We have had brainstorming sessions about it. The script that is on there, or the synopsis that is on the IMDb, is not correct. A fan or something must have inputted that. So, but I don't want to give too much away about it. I can't really talk about it. But the script is really the initial outline or ideas we have. I think will be wildly different than what people expect. It'll of course be like comedy, action, some gore here and there, but I'll just say it's more in line with a superhero style movie than it is like a horror movie. But I really love the direction this is going. It's probably one of the more frequent questions I get is about Bite of the Mummy, which kind of just turned out as it started just a joke with Jay and Jack talking about it, and even I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But their fans mentioned it, and the fans got rolling with it, and I'm like, hey, we could do this. And then Mike had mentioned it, and when I went out last time there for the most recent Best of the Worst, we had a brainstorming session about it, and it really went super well. So we got a bunch of initial ideas. Where it would be at now is, and I do this in my own films, is you got to produce to what you can get, though, in terms of like locations. I mean, if we need a museum, can we get a museum? Those kinds of things we got to be conscious about when we write the thing, because we want to make sure we can accomplish what we're writing. So it's kind of in that early producing phase. But is it going to happen? Yeah, it's going to happen.
Oh, that's awesome. Looking forward to seeing that movie.
Yeah, but with the things with Bite of the Mummy is they're basically handling all the writing and post-production and things like that. A lot of things that I would handle is the directing, producing. I don't know if they really have to do that at this point in their careers, but they're handling all of that stuff. And when they're ready, they'll call me ideas, for myself that are in there. But really, everybody had ideas that got used in the outline. I mean, obviously, Mike and Jay and Rich, myself. I don't think Jack was there that day that we were brainstorming, but pretty much an idea from everybody was used. So,
yes. That's one thing I'm curious about also, being an independent filmmaker, how much creative freedom do you have? Is it like we think that you can make like all the decisions yourself, or are you restrained to at some point, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's I don't want to say it's a dictatorship, but I mean any kind of business or model or anything, it's a pyramid. At the top you come to one person, and in Killerwolf that one person will always be me. That being said, everybody chimes in with things. If I trust you and you're on my set and I feel creatively I trust you with things, I'll listen to you. Chris Young, my post-production coordinator, and he edited Hellcats Revenge and Angel of Reckoning, and also the newer version of Apocalypse Female Warriors. He even said in an interview one time when everybody, because the first question he probably gets asked is, you work with Len, how's Len when you're on set with him or working with him and stuff. So I know he gets that question, and he had said one time, he said that, you know what, Len is very definitive about his ideas, and when he films, he has that very tunnel vision about things. But he said, but when Len trusts you, he can be very collaborative with ideas, and that's how I think that's probably a good description of me. If you've been on other stuff of mine or creatively, I respect and trust you in some kind of area, I'll listen to ideas. And in Hellcats Revenge, there probably is about 3 or 4 ideas from other people that are used in the movie, including a piece at the ending. Not all of the ending, because obviously a lot of it is mine, but somebody had chimed in with, hey, we should end the film with a little thing like this. And I thought, okay, cool. And it ended up in the final cut of the movie. So I do listen to ideas on set. Sometimes if it's something I perceive as goofy or something out of character, I'll just be like, no, and they walk away. So that does happen too. Or somebody, the number one thing I get, even from like extras on set, is, does my character get to die? Everybody wants to die in movies for some reason. And I said, a lot of times I'll have an associate producer kind of be a buffer between me and other cast and crew members, just because I don't have time to deal with a lot of stuff. And I don't say that to sound like a dickhead or anything, but I'm so busy on set that, I can't talk to everybody. It's just impossible when I've got to film 8 scenes in the next 15 hours or something like that, So, but I try to be super interactive with people. I don't care if you're somebody that's getting coffee for somebody or you're the lead actor. I treat everybody the same. Nobody really gets treatment from me.
Scream for me, Long Beach! Scream for me, Long Beach!
In this part, Len talked about how much he liked comic book movies and comic books in general, and he got the question what his favorite comic book movie was.
And I could watch it over and over again, and I probably honestly in my life, and that is 1989's Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher. It's probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite comic book movie. I love it. It's The Punisher versus the Yakuza, and actually, I collected a lot of Punisher books and stuff, and a lot of people that didn't like the movie, like, well, he didn't have the skull emblem on his chest and stuff. I was like, people, let's be real for a minute. He's killing people in stealth a lot of times. He doesn't want to be seen. You're not going to wear a bright white skull on your chest so everyone on Earth can see you. So let's be realistic. And he lived in a sewer, for God's sake, in that movie. You're gonna wear durable clothing. You're gonna wear, biker black leather durable clothing and stuff if you're gonna live in a sewer element and ride motorcycle all day. So, but and then people were like, oh, the Dolph one, it's not really like the comic and this and that. I'm like, what comic did you read? He battled the Japanese Yakuza. I mean, what are you talking about? So, Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher is probably my personal favorite. Do I think it's the most well-made one of all the comic book movies out there? No, of course not. It's a lower budgeted film, but I mean, it's probably my favorite.
We actually talked about that movie on a podcast as well. I love the film also. Some of the other guys also.
Well, maybe we are kindred spirits as well, my friend. You don't know.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Swedish actor also, Dolph Lundgren.
Oh yeah. Incredibly intelligent guy in real life too. I mean, people would never know. I mean, they think he's this just beefcake, brainless guy, but I believe he graduated like chemical engineering or something. I mean, something where you've got to be pretty freaking intelligent to graduate. So, smart dude.
Yes. Carl, do you have any questions for Len?
You were talking about Swamp Zombies as one of your worst films, and how you can't.
My first.
Yeah, sure, but it's also your most hated film by yourself, if I assume correctly.
Yeah, you're correct.
But I just wonder, Len, you said that you gain something new from every movie that you make. What did you gain in terms of knowledge or enlightenment regarding filmmaking from Swamp Zombies?
Sure. From Swamp Zombies, what I realized is, I didn't want to work with a cast of like 150 people again because it was so hard to coordinate. People will chime into me all the time saying, "What's your least favorite aspect of filmmaking?" And it's so much hands-on work for me. The thing I hate the most is trying to coordinate everybody's schedules together. When you've got a set that has 20 different people on it, it's really difficult to coordinate everybody's schedule and get them on set together at the same time. So I learned in Swamp Zombies, I had a humongous cast in that movie. I knew that was really hard to do on my micro indie budget level. So going forward, I used less and less like in cast members in terms of like number of people, cast-wise, actors and actresses-wise. So I did learn that. I did learn some budgetary things I took with me. Swamp Zombies, I had nothing. I didn't even have my camera yet, all the pre-production, all the stuff that went into it. So I knew I was going to have to be a little bit even lower budgeted going forward so I could try to recoup my budget from Swamp Zombies, which obviously never was done. But, I learned how to keep a tighter budget, how to save and cut corners budget-wise here and there. Also, like I said, coordinating massive amounts of cast members. That's really what I took away from it. But you know what? I've got friends that I made on that set that are still my friends today. I really wouldn't trade my experience there for anything. When you start off, it teaches you how to have thick-skinned with stuff too. But at the beginning, I kind of knew what I was making, but didn't really know how to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so I took a lot of those things going forward. But things people probably didn't know about because they just see a crappy movie or whatever. But we used lights, we had soft boxes, we had lighting, we had things that people say we didn't have or whatever. But yeah, we used all that stuff. We just didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Well, that's a part of filmmaking anyway. But since it's
Absolutely.
your first movie, so I find the Swamp Zombies to be extremely charming in that way. That it's so terrible that it's good. And the guys and the guys at the Red Letter Media said the same thing, and I completely agree with them. It's so bad that it's charming. And probably the best movie that I think that you've made is Fist of the Vampire because of the fight choreography.
Oh, thank you.
It is so good in the fight choreography. I adore that fight, those fights. It's amazing.
It's funny you mention that because Fist of the Vampire soon is going to come out on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you guys have that where you're at, but Amazon Prime is like you can watch free movies on it and stuff. So, or you can have your movies for rent and stuff on there. And I just got done. You have to closed caption your film for challenged individuals here, and so I do that. So I had to type out the whole movie on screen and closed caption it. Mm-hmm. So I basically lived a vampire every day, 8 hours a day for 3 or 4 days in a row. I closed captioned it because it's going to come out again because I have the rights to that film back. So I'm going to put it on Amazon Prime and things like that for people to watch it for free.
Cool.
And the fights, when I revisited, I still have a lot of love for Fist of the Vampire. I really, looking back at it and living with it like I have for the past few days here, because I just got done doing it, I really like the fight scenes in Fist of the Vampire. And this isn't a pat myself on the back kind of thing, but, we don't have stuntmen. Everybody does their own stunts. A lot of times I'm showing people for the first time, like Cheyenne King, who plays the female detective in the film Davidson. She didn't know anything about fight scenes. She maybe took a karate lesson here and there, but in terms of like choreographed fight work, she had never done that before. Or like the lead actor, who's called Man in Red Letter Media, Brian Anthony. He was a professional wrestler. He wrestled for WWF and WWE, those kinds of things, and little bit roles here and there. So really, he didn't know martial arts style fight scenes. So that was a challenge in some of my choreography I would give to those guys. But I have a lot of love for Fist of the Vampire, so I'm really glad you said that. So out of all my early films, and even, I've filmed 10 movies now, Fist of the Vampire is right up there. I've got a lot of love for that movie still.
Well, I can understand that because the lighting is perfect. I like the lighting, but the fights are so endearing. you feel every kick that every character makes in that movie. So I find it very enjoyable just for the fights. So.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, everybody worked super hard on them. Everybody was really accepted the choreography that I did very good. And I can't say enough about the fight scenes in that movie. And I get to a film like Hellcats Revenge or Angel of Reckoning where there's not as many fight scenes, and I'm going back to it. Stay patient with me, guys.
I will.
I've got a film coming out that I shot called Blood Prism. And it's actually going to be a film that is it's like a dark comedy. It's like dark comedy gore. It's very much like a film like again, not to compare it because it's a much bigger level film than what I do, but it'd be like something like American Psycho, where it's kind of comedic gore. You don't know whether to laugh or think it's weird kind of thing. And that's what Blood Prism is. Blood Prism is kind of my first attempt at a dark comedy. There is no Len gimmicks in it, like fight scenes and stuff. So I'll see what the audience, thinks about me branching out as a director and doing something like that. I want to show that, I'm not old school or new school. I'm all school. I mean, I want to show I can do it all. So that's what Blood Prism. That's what I'm going to attempt to do. But the people that want to see stuff like Fist of the Vampire, be patient. I'm going back to it. So stick around.
Well, it sounds awesome, but we talked about, Kent brought up a few points that I wanted to discuss as well. You talked about Escape from New York being one of your favorite movies.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Are there other projects that you have been fond of growing up that influenced you into filmmaking?
Oh God, yeah. There's tons of them, and something like Escape from New York would be one of the main higher budgeted pictures that I really admire. And in terms of higher budgeted things, I mean, I like Jaws. I like Escape from New York. I like even some of Van Damme's earlier higher budgeted stuff like Bloodsport or Cyborg. I could watch Cyborg over and over and over again. Movies like that. Obviously, I mentioned wanting somebody to toss a bunch of money so I could do Dead Heat 2. I'm a big fan of Dead Heat with Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo. It's a comedy, it's a horror, it's an action film. You don't know what it is. It's so fucking weird, but I really love that movie a lot. Obviously, all the big budget action movies. I just watched Rambo: First Blood Part 2 the other night, and that's so good. I mean, I love movies like that. So, but in terms of directors I admire and stuff, it's mainly, it's not the Steven Spielbergs of the world, unfortunately. It's more of the people that have done stuff like I'm trying to do. The Fred Olin Rays, Jim Wynorski, who apparently is going to do A Hard to Die too. So, Jim, call me. I'm in. Get me in, brother. But guys like that, I really admire. They do films that I love growing up. I mean, I love B movies. I love the actor running around in a monster suit killing people. I don't need digital effects. Throw the guy in a fucking rubber suit and have him go around killing people, and I love that stuff, man. So.
Well, you must love the old Godzilla movies.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. My young daughter she's going on 3 years old, so she's still little, but a lot of the Godzilla, the early ones, are rated G, so I'm just about to introduce her to those kinds of movies like what were done with my mom when I was a kid. She would stay up with me and watch the late great horror show on TV, which was movies like Godzilla and The Blob and things like that. And so I was really fortunate to have a mom that stayed up with me on Saturday nights to really have fun and do those things, and I could see that me doing that with my kids as well. So I love Godzilla. I love a lot of the Roger Corman movies of the 70s and 80s where it's guys in rubber suits, like The Terror Within. I like that film a lot. In fact, I just watched that a couple of weeks ago. Films like that I really admire. Humanoids from the Deep, stuff like that.
Awesome. I'm curious, your movies tend to drift a lot towards horror movies. I'm a big horror movie fan myself. Why is that a coincidence, or is it just what you grew up watching? I grew up watching horror and action and stuff like that. Whether it's martial art movies or horror movies, that's my big thing. I'm not much of a big drama person and stuff like that. I really don't like true stories a lot of the time. So
I'm into the fiction, the fantasy world where you make stuff up,
Right.
like
Yeah.
horror and martial arts stuff does a lot of times. And I think what it started out as, and I knew this, even though I didn't know a lot what I was doing in Swamp Zombies, I knew enough that the micro indie budgeted stuff for horror films has a real fan base to it. I mean, there's people that just love micro horror, that genre. So I kind of went that direction, even though when something like Swamp Zombies gets marketed by the distributor, they have to market as a horror film. So I'm sure a lot of people hated me for that, but that really wasn't my decision. I mean, Swamp Zombies to me, when I'm making it, is more of like action, campy horror type stuff. It wasn't meant to. I mean, you see the poster behind me. It gets marketed with this cool artwork, and it gets marketed as a legit horror movie when it's really more of a campy, shitty, weird movie.
Right.
I guess one thing we haven't talked about, you also have a Patreon page.
Yeah.
So John, you may want to talk a little about that.
Yeah. What I did with that is I don't. It's patreon.com and it's /Killerwolf Films. So that's how you can find us on there. I just filmed, actually, right before I'm speaking with you guys, I filmed the June video mailbag where fans will chime in their questions. And I've gotten a slew of them, so I can't do them all on one show. But I usually pick a couple questions and answer them and put them up there. So Patreon, unlike some places where you can donate whatever, $20 or something like that. I would never ask people for $20, but it's basically like a $2 level is all that's the only level there is. You can donate $1 or $2 and that's it. I don't have a level higher than that. And then what I do is film new content every month. One is like a video mailbag I had mentioned where I answer questions from fans. The other one I film is called Len's Forgotten Movie Den, where I'll pick a bunch of B movies, stuff that influenced me or that I just want to bring to people's attention that might, not have seen or heard of this kind of movie, and then I put it out there and talk about it. Again, it's not so much a critique than it is just kind of, hey, I want to bring this film to your attention. I really love it. Last month, for example, month of May here, for the Video Den, I did a movie called Overkill. Starring Chuck Norris's brother, Aaron Norris. So if you haven't seen Overkill, I highly, highly recommend it. It's probably in my top 5 favorite 90s martial art movies. So yeah, that's the Patreon page. I filmed some new stuff on it. I have a blog on there that it's going to talk. My blog pretty much is like an experience thing. I share experiences that I've had, and I've reflected about myself. I try for $2 just to flood it with content for people. So that's what the Patreon's about. And that was just launched, less than 2 months ago or so. So it's pretty much in its infancy at this point. But I hope people consider going and checking it out. And the Patreon for me isn't stuff that I pay my mortgage with or something like that. Anybody that donates the $2 into Patreon, it's going to produce Killerwolf movies. It's not going to like my personal life. It's going into the things that I do. So anybody that chips in, maybe it's it helps buy us new lights or a new camera, or allows me to bring a stuntman on set to do some fight scenes with. That's all the kinds of things what we're trying to do with Patreon is just increase the budget of our stuff and make better movies. I mean, I don't want to go backwards. And when I talked about Bite of the Mummy to the Red Letter Media guys, I mean, everybody loves, the shittier filmmaker Len or something like that. But even they watched Angel of Reckoning and they're like, wow, this is, so much better produced than your other stuff. And when I talked about Bite of the Mummy, I said, I'll still have my style in it, but at the same time, Swamp Zombies Len is dead. I'm not going back to that kind of style of filmmaking and stuff like that. I mean, I'm going forward and as an artist, and a lot of time I fund my own pictures. So, I don't have to listen to somebody that says, well, be horrible again and do stuff like Swamp Zombies, because I'm not interested in that. I want to grow as an artist and go forward. So that's what the Patreon page is all about. Again, it's patreon.com/Killerwolf Films is where people can find it. Even if you're not interested in participating in it, just go check out and see what it's about and then make a decision from there. So I'm not a real salesman. I just like to do stuff and put it out there, and people can go and make their own decisions. So But yeah, thanks for asking about it.
I was just wondering, one of my favorite movies that you made is Curse of the Wolf. Will there be like a possibility to buy these movies on DVD or like a box set or something, or is it digital to? How do you get hold of them, so to speak?
Right now, actually, I mean, as we speak, just last night even, I'm working on the closed captioning for Curse of the Wolf, so I could put it up on Amazon. Do you guys have Amazon Prime where you're at, or Amazon or Fire Stick or anything?
I think it's coming to Sweden. I don't think it has arrived yet. So
let me tell you, you guys will love it. And I'm not a salesman for Amazon or anything like that, but you guys will love it. The library of just shitty ass micro movies is so massive on there. You'll love it. You'll love it. It's the best $40 I ever spent was getting Amazon Prime and the movies. But actually, yeah, Curse of the Wolf will go up there. I'm hoping, within a few months here, Curse will be up there. Fist of the Vampire is already submitted. So right now it's just in the waiting process for Amazon to put it up there. So, and that takes anywhere from a couple weeks to like 90 days. But Fist of the Vampire should be available digitally like really, really soon. Curse of the Wolf will be up next, which I said, I'm working on that now. I expect to be done with the closed captioning for it probably within a week here. And then that'll all get submitted, so that'll be up and running too. And those are all free to watch on Amazon Prime. People ask me, well, Len, if you're putting them up for free, how do you make money off of it? Or, hey, we want to make sure we give our money to you, Len, and not a distributor. So I get questions like that a lot. And for stuff like Amazon Prime, the fans are going to see it for free, but I would get paid from Amazon actually, not the fans. The fans get to watch it for free. Amazon pays me by like the hour. So if you guys watch an hour of Swamp Zombies, decide it sucks and turns it off, Amazon pays me for that hour that you watched it. So it's really a matter of, with it, I want all the fans to be able to watch it for free whenever possible. I work a day job. I'm not a millionaire off movies. I just want you guys to see them and have fun with them. It's basically betting on yourself. I'm betting on myself that if I put these out there, people will watch them and I'll get a check from Amazon. But yeah, Curse of the Wolf is coming. I have actually got several questions about doing a Killerwolf Films box set. I would love to do this. I think it's going to be something that you're going to see within the next couple years here. When the box set comes out, it'll probably be, I don't want to say the classics, but to Killerwolf, they're classics. It would probably be the Swamp Zombies, Curse of the Wolf, and Fist of the Vampire would be a 3 or 4 film box set. And if we throw a 4th film in there, it would probably be Bound by Blood, Wendigo. I have the rights to that. So movies like Apocalypse Female Warriors or Skull Forest and stuff, I don't have the rights to those. So, but the older ones I do. So yeah, I would like to have a box set come out someday. I think it would be something fun. I think the fans would enjoy it. The people that are ones they'll see progression of like, wow, Fist of the Vampire is so much better done than Swamp Zombies or stuff like that. And I think in a box set you could really be able to see that. So.
I mean, your movies have had some run on DVD. I was looking on eBay. They go for quite a lot. Your movies, they're very rare to find on DVD. They go for quite a bit on eBay and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's too bad. Actually, I don't like to see that. I don't want somebody to pay $30 just for copies of Swamp Zombies and stuff. And the reason they're like that is because those films are now discontinued.
Right.
The distributor can't sell them anymore because now I own the rights. So, but my plan is to obviously get them up on digital as quick as possible. Amazon's the biggest video on demand service in the world. So obviously I'm going to try to get them up there as fast as I can. But then after that, yeah, I do plan for DVDs and stuff for those older films. But again, I have to make new artwork and do all those kinds of little things that maybe people don't think about. But it's basically starting from scratch. When you see Swamp Zombies come up on Amazon and stuff, hopefully within a few months here, Swamp Zombies is getting a re-edit. It's not going to be, not to worry people that want to see the shittiness of Swamp Zombies. It's not a total re-edit, but it is. I'm going to chop probably about a half hour or so off of it. So the runtime is going to be more like 90 minutes or so. And I think it'll flow a little bit nicer. It'll still have that shitty charm to it, but yet it'll be a more palatable 80 or 90 of Swamp Zombies that's going to come out. The re-edit for that is scheduled for July. So I imagine by the time I get that back and close caption it and do all that stuff, I'm hoping by maybe Halloween time or so that Swamp Zombies will be up on Amazon as well. So, and then once they're all up digitally, I'll go back and I'll work on getting DVDs for them, and we'll go from there.
Nice.
And you're also working on audio commentary for Hellcats Revenge. When will that be out?
Yeah, Hellcats Revenge is off to the distributor as we speak. And actually for the audio commentary, I just cut that yesterday. So that was very, very freshly done. I did it yesterday afternoon. And the commentary track will feature Foley and sound designer M.K. Smith. And it'll also feature my special effects artist from the last several films, who also has a role in the film as an actor, as Repo, Mark Kazabaki, and it'll be those two guys and me on the audio commentary for Hellcats Revenge. But the distributor, it's all up to them when they want to put it out. They obviously it's a lot of marketing on their end when they feel the best month, to put that out is, whether that's September, October, whatever. My educated guess from dealing with this distributor before is it's usually about 5 or 6 months. I would guess Hellcats Revenge would probably come to DVD and video on demand probably in November, around like Thanksgiving time or so, Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, so somewhere in that range.
Yes. You've been more than generous with your time. Do you want to wrap things up, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a lot of fun. So normally I don't have a lot of people to talk to in my personal life where I can just reel off, answers to questions like what you guys have. So, a lot of times it's, hey, you're Len, can I have an autograph? Oh, sure. Hi. I'll walk around a video store and somebody might recognize me or something like that. So, but I don't get to talk in depthly about my stuff, and people don't really get to know, really who I am. So hopefully you guys in the Creative Meltdown podcast, everybody that's listening kind of gets a little more insight into myself here and what I'm about and what I do. And it's been a real pleasure, guys. I appreciate it.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to do this. And you're welcome back anytime.
I would love to. Let's do it again. I'll have some new stuff coming down the road here, and I'll contact you guys, and I would love to do it. So I very, very, very appreciate your time and allowing me to talk about my stuff here. So have a good day, guys.
You too.
You too.
Yeah, same to you.
Take care.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Game over.